from The Human Condition, A User's Manual by Arnold Kunst, August 15th. We must be lovers, and at once the impossible becomes possible. Ralph Waldo Emerson. I really like cycling. Easy to do in the God-ordained climate of California. In fact, in my last job, I had chosen both a car and a carpool partner for just that purpose. My station wagon was merely a glorified bike rack, and I found myself an accommodating carpool partner at work who got my car's spare key. We'd meet 19 miles from work and go in together in one car. On days I'd cycle, either I would take the bike out when we got to work if we went in my car, or I would leave the bike at work the previous day if we went in his car. Anyway, I'd typically get in 2, maybe even 3 days of cycling this way. One day at lunch in November of 2001, another coworker heard of my interest in cycling and asked me casually if I had ever considered doing the AIDS ride. Raised $2,500 for the privilege of cycling from San Francisco to LA, 585 zigzag miles over 7 days in early June. I was immediately intrigued and started questioning her about it. Well, the more we talked about it, the more excited I became. Raising all that money, $2,500 back then, the physical challenge, meeting interesting can-do people on the ride. She even said the food was to die for. One of the lessons I learned, one that you can take to the bank, is that any interest like this that just won't go away with time demands honoring. But I had 2 problems. I was just going to be 61 in June when the event was scheduled, and I was a good 50 pounds overweight. Then one day, the very next week, while cycling from work to my car, as a complete fluke, I met another cyclist. His bike looked really impressive, and I said to him, "That's a beautiful bike you got there. You must have paid a fortune for it." He said, "Well, I don't know how much it cost. I got it from the manufacturer for nothing." He then went on to explain that he was a professional cyclist. So I asked him about my excitement/problem. He said, "How many miles do you do now, and how fast do you do them?" I said, "I do 19 miles usually twice a week, and with a tailwind I can do it in a little under an hour." That was all he needed. "You can do it," he said simply. "It's December now. You've got a good 6 months to train, and with the weather improving and the days getting longer, you could grow your weekly mile count to over 150 in the weeks just before the big event." "How will I know if I'm ready?" I asked. "When you can do 65 miles in a day, then get up the next day and do 65 miles, then get up the next day, you're ready. If you can't get up on that 3rd day, you're not ready." That whole conversation lasted maybe 8 minutes, then we parted company, and I never saw him again. But those 8 minutes changed everything. I learned that, besides raising $2,500, all I had to do was make the pedals go around lots and lots of times. There's one downside to this. I can't ever look at a really hard thing, an impossible thing even, and say, "I could never do that." Impossible became, "I'm possible." How's this for a PS? I did that AIDS ride, pedaling every mile God gave me, and on the very last day, at a brake stop a mere 40 miles shy of Dodger Stadium, a doctor on the staff asked me if she could take my picture. Somewhat shocked, I asked, "Why?" "Because I work at a geriatric unit in St. Louis, and I want to bring back photographic proof that old guys can be very active." Was I pumped or what? Arnold Kunst.